What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Jack Doyle Podcast as we enter and break through week 16 of the NFL regular season. We say it every year. You know, you get to like week 4 and we start joking, yeah, we're at the quarter way of the season, and then boom, blink, and it's Christmas time. We're just mere days away from the holiday season. That's the great Jack Doyle. I'm Matt Taylor, 9-year Colt, 2-time Pro Bowler. Jack, a lot to get into, but first of all, how you doing? How you settling in this holiday season?
Yeah, I'm doing good. You know, as you know, Matt, with young kids, the chaos has started with school, and you know, there's always something going on at school.
Oh,
and you know, already
places to be, gifts
to get. So my wife, she's doing a great job in that department. I'm just there for support. You know, send a text like, "Yeah, good job," and keep it up. You're doing a great job.
Wow.
She's not going to think that's very funny.
No, it's the truth though. I mean,
yes.
Just tell me where to be.
Yeah,
you know tell me where to go. Tell me where to be, and what to wear.
Yeah,
that's the most important. Yeah,
just a little.
What do I wear?
Just a little moral support, right? You know, that's where I'm at.
Now, do you rap? Are you a rapping guy?
No, because I don't do it. You know, I'm not saying I don't do it well on purpose.
See, I like to rap, but it's not.
I'm not good at it.
I think it's very obvious the presence I rap.
Yeah, my presence. If I rap a present, it's not allowed to go like under the tree pre-Christmas, right? Like
it's not allowed in the picture.
Yeah, no, it's got to be back. You know, maybe we'll put it in the back or keep that in your closet until it's time. But no, I arts and crafts was never a strong suit of mine.
See, what I do not do is I don't go to the trouble of finding the appropriate box for the gift.
Yeah.
So I'll just either wrap it as is, or I'll put something way too big in too small of a box, or vice versa, and it's just incredibly awkward. But guess what? You wrap it, you unwrap it, and there it is, and you're equally as excited, regardless of what it looks like beforehand.
It's the thought that counts,
That's
Matt.
Right. Come on, man.
Let's go.
Absolutely. All right, a lot to get into. We're talking Colts. We're talking about the upcoming game against the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, we have to start with the Phillip Rivers performance. What it looked like, that's all in the backdrop of the Colts now. On a 4-game losing skid, they've lost 5 of their last 6. Phillip Rivers comes out of retirement. First game since 2020, or the 2020 season. 18 out of 27 for $120. 1 touchdown, the late interception. The Colts fall 18-16. How much joy and pleasure did you take watching your old teammate go out there and do it at age 44?
Oh, I had so much fun watching him play, man. And when he threw the touchdown pass to Downs and just the classic Phillip expression, you know, the fist pump, little leg kick there. I mean, he just looked like himself out there, and that was so fun. You know, whenever they'd show him on the sideline, you know, you saw him pacing back and forth, talking to the guys, and that's the Phillip I remember. So to watch him just bounce right back into it was a lot of fun.
Did you see anything that surprised you or anything that took you off guard from what you saw out of him with whatever it was, a 4.5-year layoff, first game in 1,800 days?
Yeah, I thought it was impressive, Matt. I think everyone kind of went into this game being like, what's this going to look like? This guy hasn't played football in 4.5 years, 5 years. Like, I mean, that's insane. And he seemed to just bounce right back into himself. And just not having much time with the pass catchers and with the offense as a whole, with the team as a whole.
Yeah.
To watch them all just kind of buy into him and the type of teammate he is, was cool to see.
Well, you look at the totality of the game, right? The Colts post 215 yards of offense. Only 67 of that came in the second half. Only 4 first downs past halftime. Obviously, going into the game, and Shane Steichen after the game's been very transparent. This was by design.
Yeah.
We wanted to, in essence, shorten the game, try to go on long drives, limit the possessions and the firepower of the Seahawks, be ground and pound, focus on Jonathan Taylor, get ourselves into third and manageable situations, complete high percentage throws, get the ball out quick, involve the running backs and the tight ends in the passing game. And it almost worked.
Yeah.
And it almost worked. And credit to the defense Situationally, the Colts defense was outstanding. The Seattle Seahawks they only had 2 third-down conversions, 0 for 2 in the red zone. Colts didn't give up a touchdown in the game. But how sustainable? I mean, again, Shane's been very adamant that there's more out of more out of Phillip that they can get going forward. It was kind of a game plan centric type of a ball game, and Rivers' re-debut, if you will, for the Colts. But how sustainable do you think Rivers' performance and his skill set is with the Colts having 3 games left and still mathematically a decent chance of making the playoffs?
Yeah, and I think every game plan is going to be different. So going into San Francisco, obviously it's going to be a different plan. How do you beat the 49ers? And that's how the NFL is.
Anyways,
whether you're signing a quarterback who hasn't played in 5 years or whatever, every game you go in with trying to predict what kind of game this is going to be, what kind of game do we want to make this, and then how do we get a win? I mean, you're going against a Seattle defense who hasn't given up a touchdown the 2 weeks prior. Right. So it was going into their place. That's a really tough challenge. I think a little bit, this is what you kind of want to play at this time of year, right? You want to play good defense. You want to establish a run game. You're trying to get ready hopefully for playoff football and keeping your hopes alive. But I think there's more in there. I think Phillip's got more to give. Another week with these guys, and we get a little extra day here for rest for everybody going into Monday Night Football. But I think with Shane and Phil's brain and the way they see offense, I think that they can untap a little more into the offensive game plan if that's what they choose to do going into the 49ers.
And we know going into Monday Night Football, Phillip Rivers is going to be the starting quarterback for the Colts. And I still think that's the right move. I think because of where the Colts are at in the season and how unique of a situation this is, I think the quarterback decision, which for the Colts for the last 3 or 4 years has been very polarizing. Okay, that we're just kind of back where we've been for the last couple of years as it relates to just talking ad nauseum about the Colts quarterback situation. But devil's advocate, right? What did the Colts miss out on, if anything, with Phillip Rivers as the quarterback? Was it taking more shots down the field? Can Phillip Rivers do that? Can he extend plays just a little bit longer? For those that are advocating for Riley Leonard, what is it about Phillip Rivers intangibly that he kind of makes up for with, now 251 career starts in the NFL?
Yeah, obviously you think of the mobility, right? That's obviously Riley's strength. If, you want to go that path and fans want to argue that, or, you want to go with Phillip, and obviously he's not going to be as mobile back there and never was. But, I thought the Colts did a good job of staying efficient on first down. I think that's a credit to Phillip. I think I heard Shane say it in one of his interviews about how Phil was getting us in the right play and checking to some runs to get us to 2nd and 7, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being 2nd and 10, right? That's a big difference in going to be able to get first down. So I think just, obviously the relationship with Shane and what Phillip has and seeing the game the same way, they think they can, rely on the skill players that we have. And if we get us in the right play, hey, we have a really good chance of having a successful play and staying with that efficiency that we saw early in the season on first and second downs.
I think it was Alec Pierce. I love what he said after the game. He said, we were in looks and I'm on the field with the offense and we're lined up formationally, and Phillip Rivers is, checking into plays or checking out of plays, and Alex like, no, why would we do that? No, we need to run the ball against this front. Yeah. And then we check to a pass, and the reason why we checked to a pass is because Phillip knew they were bluffing. Phillip knew they were lying. They really weren't going to line up in what they were showing. It's like, how does he know that? Like, God, he's so smart. Like, that's the kind of stuff that the Colts really want to tap into the last 3 games with Phillip Rivers at quarterback.
Yeah, and that's what he brings, right? That's his greatest strength right now, right? That's what you rely on.
His biggest muscle is this one up here, the brain.
Yeah, that he's seen more football than probably the whole Colts offense combined, right? I mean, if you add up all the guys, how much film they've watched, and all the starts, it's probably honestly pretty close. But yeah, it's amazing the way he can see a game and from being off of it, right? I know he was still involved in high school football, and he's a football junkie. He's watching every NFL game. I know that about him. He's got the red zone package, but
he's got more than that.
He's got more than that, right? But just getting us in the right play, and the guys are trusting him. And another thing, he brought the energy, right? The energy looked different with this team, right? Going into a hostile environment, and it's infectious. I've always said that about Phil. The way he just carries himself is just infectious to the whole room. He walks in a room, that room changes because Phil Rivers is in that room, right? I mean, he just got that effect, and you could see it through the special teams, you could see it on the defense, and then obviously on the offense. So, you wake these guys up. Obviously we're on a little bit of a losing skid, and hopefully that energy can kind of propel us forward.
Well, that's where I wanted to go, but it's a perfect segue because I thought the Colts just fought tooth and nail. I mean, they were 10-plus point underdogs on the road against that team at that place with a quarterback who hadn't played in, X amount of days and X amount of years to go in there and basically come within 47 seconds of winning and making a statement. And, I mean, we were kind of joking off air after the Colts made that 60-yard field goal with Blake Grupe. I'm doing the game with Charles Arbuckle on the radio, and I said, who's going to play Phillip Rivers in the movie? Is it going to be Tom James? Or Kevin James, I should say. Is it Kevin James? He's already played Sean Payton, right? I mean, who's going to play this role in the Disney movie? Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. But, to your point, I thought the Colts had a ton of juice and a ton of fight, and it just give them a ton of credit for the way they handled their business with the jolt of, I don't know if it's excitement, but just extra layer of intensity. Yeah. Because the Colts, for a lack of a better term, they were kind of the story last week around the NFL. Now it's going to be really interesting to see how they continue that mojo and carry that juice forward. It's kind of like the equivalent of a interim coach bump that you get, right? In that first game with an interim coach, want to play for the guy. Now that things have kind of settled down for a week and you have an extra day getting ready for Monday Night Football, I'm really interested in see just how much of an edge the Colts still have, also, too, coming off a 4-game losing skid.
Yeah, and I think the edge will stay because they're going to see, I know this personally. Obviously, I played with Phil. Yeah. And the way he carries himself day in, day out, and the way he holds guys accountable, the way he communicates with guys, it's just different, right? And he just has a way about him that makes you want to not let him down, right? And makes you want to hold up your end of the bargain. And that just, that makes you want to go back to the details a little more. It makes you want to do the little things so that you're prepared, so that you don't let this guy down because he's doing all the work going into a game. All
right, generally speaking, though, take me inside that locker room. How tough is it, Jack, to deal with a 4-game losing skid? I don't care if you start 0-4 or if it's weeks 8 through 12, or in this case, we're going into week 16 having dropped 4 games in a row. How tough is it to compartmentalize the amount of work and the amount of stress you put on your mind and your body and to not have anything to show for it since this team last played in Berlin, which seems like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's really hard, and it's hard to get up in the morning and get motivated to go to work. But, again, we've talked about a lot on the show, but the veteran leadership, I really believe in these guys, and they're going to make sure we're practicing the right way and giving ourselves the best chance to win because what cures all this, Matt? Just getting a freaking win, right? And if you can just find a way to scratch one out, and it felt like we were going to do it this past week in Seattle, but you just got to find a way to get a win, and a win cures all that. It really does.
We've talked about this in the past. Players-only meetings. Do they work? Is it necessary right now? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think as a group, maybe you want to meet. Maybe as an offense, I could see, Phil bringing those guys in, being like, hey, this is what we need to do. The problem I have not the problem, but sometimes player-only meetings just get into it turns into a soapbox a little bit, and people will just go up there and start complaining. A little bit. You kind of start just hearing the complaints and
I should be playing more. We should be doing this.
Maybe not that extreme, but a little bit. It's kind of the vibe you walk out of there with. Versus if one person calls it, say the leader of the offense calls it and says, hey, this is what we need to do.
One voice.
Yeah. This is what we're going to do, right? And we're going to stop talking about it. We're going to be about it. Yeah. Let's go. And it just needs to be quick, nothing crazy, and nothing that's dragged out. The player-only meetings I've been a part of that have kind of dragged out. It's like you walk out there like, man, that really didn't do anything, and maybe that hurt a little bit.
Counterproductive.
Yeah, you got to. It's got to be handled the right way, and then I'm all for it.
Well, I think the reaction from the game, watching things play out on social media, and social media obviously is it can be kind of toxic at times, especially when a team is, floundering a little bit. They've lost 4 in a row, trying not to squander a 7-1 start. I don't think people are. This is just my take on it, right? I don't think people are upset. They're not losing their minds over a Seattle loss when you have a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers playing for the first time this season, where you lose on the road to a really good team who was 10-3, really balanced on both sides of the ball, and you lose 18-16. Obviously, there's things that you could have done to win the game, certainly, but I think people are more frustrated in the bigger sense, in the bigger picture, because it was another really important game in the month of December, a late season game where it's, I don't want to say like a must-win game, but close to imperative that the Colts win to really help their playoff stock. And it's just another game that doesn't go their way, where they play well enough to win, but do just enough to lose. And it's the last time, or I should say it's another game where, the Colts are trying to, make this playoff push. Haven't made the playoffs since 2020, and the month of December and January, those months have not been kind to the Colts since the Colts last made the playoffs in 2020 when Phillip Rivers was the quarterback. In those months since that year, the Colts are 9-14 in December and January. And so I think in the bigger sense, again, Colts fans are upset about how the annual fade away it's here. And unfortunately, the Colts can stem that tide. But I think that's what has Colts fans just a little bit disenfranchised right now, is that, here we are in the month of December and we still can't win tight, close games that we really need to get to help our stock.
Yeah, I'm right there with them. Yeah. I mean, and the players are right there with them.
Yeah.
And the front office is right there with them. And the coaches is right there with them. Everyone's feeling that. And knowing that, we got to play better, it's that simple. And you got to play better in these late games that matter just a little bit more when you're, they matter early in the season, but when you're looking and when you can see the playoff picture and everyone kind of knows what's kind of in front of you and what you need to do, the Colts just got to find a way to win these tight ones. And it's not like, there hasn't been a lot of like getting your butt kicked, right? It's just finding a way to win late, close games, because that's what the NFL is. And the Colts have found themselves on the wrong side of it more than they'd like, here in the past few years. So hopefully the tides can turn. Yeah.
Last year it was that loss to Denver on the road. This year, heck, the last 3 games, really important games, back-to-back losses inside the division. This game against Seattle 2 years ago, you had that Week 18 win in your end game against Houston that didn't go the Colts' way. We know about the 4th and 1 play, there at the end of the game. But I do want to double back and give major tip of the cap to the defense. Again, you give up just a hair over 300 yards to that offense with Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba and Rashid Shaheed. No touchdowns. Unfortunately, the Colts lose a game where they didn't give up a touchdown. First time they've done that since 2018 when they lost 6-0 to the Jaguars on the road. But how did you see the Colts, for the most part, Jack, shut down one of the best offenses in the NFL?
They were flying around that first half especially. How fun was it to watch that defense just, all gas, no brakes, right? I mean, that's how you want to see team defense and the way they are shutting down the run game, right? As much as we've talked about, from the offense standpoint, obviously, I talk about the offense more than the defense, but we got to give the defense, their kudos this past week. But the way they were shutting them down on first down and shutting down the run game, and then, and then you were seeing Seattle, we're making a penalty, they had a legal formation, there was things that were kind of, you're forcing, stress on them to let them make mistakes and putting them in third and longs, that's the recipe, right? And I was really proud of the way the defense played in the first half, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And again, they did a great job, and you hold a NFL team to no touchdowns, man. Yeah. You deserve to win that team.
Yeah, that's what
you deserve to win that game as a defense. So hopefully, they can build off of that and keep that momentum rolling.
Yeah, and again, unfortunately, the one little thing that they did not do well consistently through the course of 60 minutes was just enough to get them beat. Right. And that's giving up big plays and quick scores, as was the case on that last drive of the game. Seattle gets the ball down by, 2, it was 16-15. And Rashid Shaheed with a pretty decent return out to about the 35, 36-yard line. Big play over the middle. Another 8-yard completion, and boom, all of a sudden you're in Jason Myers' field goal range. And he's got one of the biggest legs in the NFL and knocks down a 56-yard field goal. But the truth of the matter is the Colts have allowed 29 completions over 15 yards in the last 4 games during this 4-game losing skid. Some big completions to Rashid Shaheed last week. Jackson Smith and Jigba had 2 big gains. He had over 100 yards last week, even though it was kind of a deceptive 100-yard game, right? It doesn't kill you in terms of, a huge output that you allowed, but you still lose the game. But how big of an issue has the big play propensity on defense been during this 4-game slide?
Yeah, it's tough, Matt, because you go look at the stats. Like if a team has an explosive play on a drive, I forget what the stat. And again, they used to show this to us a lot when I was playing. But the numbers of scoring just goes way up, and of scoring a touchdown go way up.
Yeah.
So you got to find a way to shut those down, and it's all about team defense. Obviously, we have some injuries on the back end that make it tough. And those, the guys that were in there were competing their butts off. And, it's tough to cover those receivers and their speed for a long time. And then, the pass rush has got to be a little better. It was there, I felt like it was there a little bit in the first half. And then the second half, I felt like Darnold was kind of sitting back there a little too long. And, that you got to give him, if you don't have time to get those explosive plays, right, and you can get that pass rush in there, that'd be huge. So, yeah, I know that's what the defense wants to kind of shut down. But, at the same time, they're shutting down the early down efficiency, right, and trying to shut that down. So it's tough, right? And, you honestly, you want to just get some more explosive on our offensive side of the ball to kind of negate those, and they can kind of cancel each other out, because it is the NFL and people are going to make plays, right? You can't expect
and
perfection.
In a game like that, when it's so close, it almost favors the team that has the more explosives.
Yeah, it's huge. They mean that much more, like you're saying, Matt.
Right.
And so it came at the wrong time, right? That's the tough part.
End of half and end of game.
What was crazy, Matt? I want to hear your perspective on this. When Seattle started calling those timeouts, when we had the ball,
right?
Were you surprised by that, or did you kind of feel what they were trying to do there?
Yeah, I felt like they knew that the Colts were going to be, in all likelihood, in a situation to kick a field goal,
right?
And they had confidence in Blake Grupe. And by the way, what confidence right there to drill a 60-yard field goal.
That was awesome.
And what a take, too, by the Colts there on, 3rd and 7, to run the ball right there, because if they throw an incompletion, you're probably right on the very end of the fringe of Grupe field goal range. So at least you give yourself a chance or be in a position to be able to take the lead with a long field goal.
Yeah.
But in that situation, too, Seattle's taking timeouts. I did think it was the right call by them to defensively burn all their timeouts so that they could set themselves up. I mean, the way they wanted the game to end is exactly the way it ended.
Yeah,
with a good return, field position good, one play over the middle to Shaheed, and not having a timeout in that situation didn't kill them, because they had great 2-minute execution. Darnold's on the ball, spikes it. Here comes Jason Myers for the field goal. And, credit to, every team, as you know, has the analytic department or the game managing department, people in the ear of the head coach, in this case, Mike McDonald. Tip of the cap to them. I thought the way they executed was, it was perfect.
Exactly how they wanted to, like you said, Matt. And just the new kickoff rule, as I feel like as a fan.
That won them the game.
Yeah, you have to change your mindset of like, not how easy it is to get in field goal range, but it's
pretty easy.
In the way these kickers are making kicks now, it's amazing how it basically takes one first down.
I heard people say, why don't you just kick the ball out of the end zone or kick it into the end zone?
The time.
But you're going to give it to them at the 35, and they don't have to time. Yeah,
they get at the 37, I think, because they got a pretty good
so it's a 2-yard difference, but still, that's 6 or 7 seconds rather than went off the clock.
I was thinking, with the time, you don't want to give them at the 35, because then it's a first down. So I think that as a fan too, it's like Colts make the kick. I see 40-some seconds or whatever it was on the clock. They have no timeouts. I'm good, and I'm like, oh wait, the kickoff's different. I'm like, we got play here. Like that's what I was thinking. Like they're going to have pretty good field position more than likely to start this drive.
This is exactly where the new kickoff rule.
It's changed.
It's changed
so much of the game.
It 100% impacted the outcome of this game.
Yeah, it's changed the game so much. And the way I'm trying to teach my brain of how it works now and how, where offense is starting field position.
You don't want to kick it into the end zone because they get it to 35, and you don't want to kick it out of bounds because they get it at the 40.
No, yeah, and then you want the time to tick, right? You want to, with 40-some, you want to hopefully that kickoff play can take 5-6 seconds or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And you can run some more time off. So
just didn't cover it as well.
Yeah, it's just different. It's kind of changed. It's changed the game a little bit in that way.
All right, let's talk about a defense. I want to spotlight a certain guy because the defense did play so well. But one guy within the defense, I thought, had a little bit of a, coming out party. Maybe is not the right phrase, but he certainly played well enough for us to discuss him individually here. Laiatu Latu.
Yeah.
Sack, 3 tackles for loss, and he was a menace on the edge playing against the run. The Seahawks, they only had 50 yards rushing in that game. So everybody along that defensive line gets, a tremendous amount of credit. But let's put the spotlight on Laiatu Latu. Where are you seeing him, again, starting to pop a little bit late in his sophomore campaign?
Yeah, I saw the confidence, right? And that's huge. And, when a pass rusher has confidence, they're moving a little more efficiently, right? And they're timing up their hands, right? And, he was able to get that sack. They went with the quick snap on the 3rd down and, slid the line, and he gets a back, and he's probably licking his chops, right? Like, yes, here we go. And he does the right thing. He should win that battle. He wins that battle, right, and gets a sack, and that's just going to help build confidence. I think those, like I said, you get pass rushers' confidence, that they start to find that rhythm, the timing of their hands, and it's a lot of hand fighting when you're a pass rusher against the offensive tackle. So I think that was great to see, and again, build his confidence, and hopefully he can carry that momentum. Maybe he was liking being back on the West Coast, and that was bringing some juice back to him. But
back in Washington.
Yeah, so that would be good. So hopefully, again, he can carry that momentum moving forward.
I mean, you got a front row seat. I mean, you play next to the tackles in the running game. And so right across from you in that line of scrimmage are these defensive ends. Young guys. Jack, can you put into words how long it takes for them to really hone their craft and become really comfortable where they can be game changers and game wreckers? It's a tough position to play for first and second year players.
Yeah, it is tough, and that's why they get paid so much. Right? I mean, let's be honest about it, right? I mean, that's and they
drafted high,
and they drafted high, and they get paid that much because they can change a game when they're playing. They can really be game wreckers when they're playing to their the way you want them to play. But yeah, it's a tough position, right? And especially when as a tight end, like you're saying, when I'm playing that tackle, and I know there's a guy, especially when there's a young guy, and he's kind of like. Maybe he gets locked in on the tackle. You can give those guys little bumps, and you can mess with them a little bit, and
that's everything.
And then he had a play in the game where they brought a. I'm just speaking of Latu. They had a receiver come down and block down on him, right? And he spun out of it, right? And that's great awareness, and had that tackle for loss for like 5 yards when Seattle was kind of backed up. But being able to just have the awareness, right? And that's where you're seeing the growth, right? First year, right? Maybe first year, he probably wouldn't have felt that wide receiver doing the down block on him, right? But now he was ready for it, came out of it. Maybe he's in his film study, and he's starting to see, you can study all the film you want, but can you translate it to on the field, right? And that takes time, right? It really does. And the way the offenses are trying to attack you. So I think you can see, you're starting to see the growth, right? And again, hopefully that the confidence can, help with his rhythm and his timing of his pass rush, and just playing with that confidence, playing with that energy, right? Good things are kind of going to go your way.
When the light bulb goes off for a player, specifically in this case a defensive end, do you know it when you see it? Like this guy, he's got it. He's in the zone, and he's past some of those initial growing pains.
Yeah, I think you can see it, from a fan watching at home, right? They just move different, right? Mm-hmm. They got a little bounce to them, right? Usually they start playing with a little bit of a smile, right? It's not the confused, this is too much.
Just trying not to screw up.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Trying not to get yelled at in the meeting on Monday, right? It's not that. It's, hey, I'm out here playing football, right? And I'm having fun doing it. And you just see a different bounce in his step. So, again, hopefully that can continue.
Is that where the phrase "the eye in the sky" comes from? The film doesn't lie.
The sky don't lie,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell when a guy is based on their body movement, you can tell when they're thinking and when they're trying not to screw up. Or just, in the back of their mind, self-consciously thinking about always trying to be in the right place at the right time instead of just going out there and making a play and playing free.
Be a football player, right? And once you can, get the scheme down and get your job down and you're not having to overthink that too much.
Yeah.
And then you can go back to, why you were drafted, to be a football player.
Your initial traits.
Yeah, your traits, your abilities, the things that you can do well, your strengths. Like, let's see those on film. But yeah, the old eye in the sky doesn't lie, man. You better.
How many times you hear that?
Oh yeah, all the time. You'd come to the sideline and there'd be like preseason games where a guy who's kind of fighting for a spot, and he's like, "Oh, what'd you see here?" And he's like, "Oh, they were in a I'm speaking from a tight end. So 6 technique is a head up.
Sure.
A 7 is inside on a tight end, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then a 9 is outside. But you'd be like, "Oh yeah, he was in a 7 technique, so I made this call," and the coach be like, "Eye in the sky doesn't lie."
We'll find out tomorrow.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. So yeah, that film, and that film's different now. They have every angle, and it's an HD. So you can see it all. You can see it.
It's at 84. It's definitely 84. You can't blur out the number on the old VHS tapes.
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah, back in the day, maybe you could get. Oh yeah, is that 52?
Yeah.
Oh, you thought you were going to 53? No, you can't really tell.
I had so many plays where it's like, God, that's going to look so bad on film.
Oh, isn't that the worst?
Yeah.
But you got to flush it, Matt.
Yeah,
you got to flush it. Next play.
Yeah.
Next play.
One bad play can't lead to 2.
No, it can't.
Yeah. But you get worked over. You're like, God, that's going to look so bad tomorrow.
God, my friends are going to make fun of me. Like, you get that little like, oh, I just looked like an idiot. I just fell down for no reason.
Yeah,
like,
lost my balance or,
it's
you
fun.
break contain, like, oh my God, I'm going to get ripped for this tomorrow. And the initial, I know people don't care about this, but the initial, like, you just get a pit in your stomach, like when you don't do your job, you're 1/11th in your responsibility, and it leads to like whatever it is. Like speaking as a defensive player, an explosive play or a first down or a 7-yard gain, and you're like, that's because of me. That's the worst feeling in the world.
But that's what you're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
Like
that means you care.
That's why football is the ultimate team game.
Yeah.
You should feel like that. You should have a pit in your stomach,
Touché.
right? Like that's how you should feel. And, you don't want to let your teammates down. Those are the type of guys you want on your football team.
100%, man. We're speaking the same language right there. The language of Monday Night Football is what I want to close out here with. Monday night stage for the Colts. It's the first time all year they've played in prime time. First time they played on Monday Night Football since 2022 when they played the Chargers that year. Jack Doyle, is Monday Night Football, I mean, there's so many different, there's so many standalone windows now, right?
Yeah.
There's international games, Thursday night, Monday night, Sunday night, Saturday games here late in the season when college football kind of dies off. Is Monday Night Football still special?
Yeah, I think
for players.
I like you said, maybe it's kind of been watered down a little bit because there is so many. There's a Thursday night game, and probably soon. When do the Saturday games start?
We got Black Friday games.
Yeah, Black Friday. Yeah. There's so many, like you said, standalone games. But Monday Night Football, it's still different, right? Because that's what you remember as a kid, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what you remember, like the song going into going into Monday Night Football, and then you're getting ready for the game, and you see the NFL. What are they called? The Monday Night Countdown team. Mm-hmm. You see them out on the field, right, and seeing
back in the day, man, that
former
was
great players
like
Steve
Young, Chris Berman, Susie Colbert.
I mean, like
that was legit.
It was legit. It's like, here we go.
Yeah.
We're the only show in town.
Yeah.
Like let's go play. So there you definitely get a little extra juice going into Monday Night Football.
How did you feel when you played on Monday Night Football? I'm not talking like physically. I mean, did you feel larger than life? Like, did you feel more talented than you were, for lack of a better term?
Yeah,
because like you were the only game on.
Yeah, you kind of like, Matt, we talked about this on a couple episodes ago, but like, when we in the state finals when you're in high school, and then you go on to
I felt invincible.
Yeah, you feel invincible, right?
Yeah.
You feel like, man, I got this. Like, all my friends that maybe they didn't get to watch me, and they live in somewhere else, and we're not in the regional coverage of the Colts or whatever. Like, they're watching me tonight. They get this
national
game
television.
Like, let's go. Here we go.
Every bar in America is playing this one game.
It's on everywhere, right?
Yeah.
In every sense of the way. It's just it just does. It gives you an extra juice, and you feel that amongst your teammates, right? And it's a ton of fun playing on Monday Night Football.
All right, so take me through the preparation of Monday night. I mean, some people are going to say,
Ugh.
all right, you're playing.
Is that the good reaction?
That says it all right there. Okay, you're playing one day later, big deal. How different can it be? I mean, you guys are so routine-driven and routine-oriented. How big of a throw-off does this, throw into your guys' routine and preparation?
Yeah, the extra day is nice, right? And especially when you just had a long trip out to Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Just get some extra sleep. Let's try and catch up on our sleep a little bit and going into this week. And then it feels very normal, right, as you're going through the week. Like, you could tell me it's Thursday in the rest of the world, but it's Wednesday to me, right? I mean, that's what it is as a player, right?
It's psychologically, mentally, it's still
Friday
Wednesday.
in the rest of the world. No, it's Thursday. It's third down and blitz day. I had no idea what was going on in the outside world, right?
Yeah.
My wife would be like, yo, the kids have school today. I'm like, nope. It's not Thursday, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So you get your routine in that sense. And then it kind of stinks when you have to wait for the game all day on Monday.
Oh, it's excruciating.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
I mean, first of all, it's a day later, but it starts about as late in the day, the next day after Sunday as possible. I mean, it's 8:15.
But it's awesome to have a home game. That helps.
Yeah.
That definitely helps.
Yeah.
It stinks when you're away and you're just kind of trapped in a hotel room and you're like,
yeah,
I guess I'll take a nap.
Right.
But I can't sleep. I just
Yeah.
have I'm stressed about the freaking
Right.
game coming up, right? I'm worried about trying to block blah, blah, blah.
Paralysis by analysis, right?
I mean, yeah, you don't really sleep. You're just kind of laying there in a daze, getting ready for the game. But it's an honor, right, to play on Monday Night Football. Like you said, you grew up watching these guys, so we're complaining about the little things, right? And it doesn't really matter because you get to go play in the NFL. So it was always a ton of fun.
What about the back end though of Monday Night Football? Because now it's a short week.
That's tough because it's hard. It's hard to sleep, right? I remember we played on Monday Night Football. We didn't have many home games on Monday. I'm thinking of one. Yeah. Am I wrong? I'm thinking of one like back in 2014 against the Eagles.
Yeah, Chip Kelly.
And and I remember I couldn't fall asleep after it, right? I just remember I was up to I probably got home at whatever time, midnight, 1. I don't know what time you get home after a home Monday Night Football game, whatever it was. And then it's I'm just laying there because my adrenaline is through the roof. We just played a tight game, and I think we lost that game, but we played a tight game. And you just can't calm yourself down, right? There's not the plane ride to calm down or things like that.
Right.
So I'm just laying in my bed, staring at the ceiling,
thinking about the game.
Yeah, waiting for thinking of that play that we the film, the play I don't want the rest of the team to see, right? I'm thinking about that play, and I'm trying to see if my iPad is loaded up to see if I can watch the film to try and calm my brain. But yeah, it's tough on the back end, right? Because then you got to kind of rush back into the swing of things. But, the coaches do a good job of handling that and making sure guys get physically get themselves ready, going into the next week.
Do you have a favorite personal, individual Monday Night Football memory from your playing days?
Yeah, so I just thought of that Eagles game. The first game, or my first touchdown was on Monday Night Football. And it was on my wife's birthday.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. My first NFL touchdown, that was, early. I think it was a week 2.
What year?
2014.
14?
Eagles.
Okay.
We ran the ball, and we were running. I played a lot, too. My rookie year in 13, I played very little on offense, just here and there, come in there, go do an ISO block, get the heck out, play some special teams. But that year in 14, I played a little bit more. It was similar stuff, ISO block, and we ran a little more 13 personnel. And we used to have these no huddle plays that we would run with Pep with some unbalanced stuff. And we were I remember us running a ton of counter plays from the I formation. And Trent Richardson was going a little bit.
Yeah.
Ahmad Bradshaw was going a little bit. We ended up losing that game. But yeah, I remember scoring my first touchdown. And cool story about my first touchdown. I don't know if I've ever said it on this. So I dive and I dive for the pylon, right?
I remember.
And the ball kind of squirts out and I can't get mobbed by Dwayne Allen. But I remember coming to the sideline and our equipment guy T being like, "Hey, don't worry about the ball. Reggie Wayne grabbed it for you."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Man, how cool is that?" I think I've told this story before, but I was like, Reggie Wayne knew that was my first touchdown. I was like, this was my hero growing up. So that was a really cool moment for me.
How freaking cool.
Yeah.
The type of guy Reggie Wayne is.
Yeah.
I mean, future Hall of Famer.
Right.
And here you are, no disrespect to you at the time. But
probably stealing his touchdown, right? He was probably open.
That's not where I'm going, but I just mean like a young guy, but to have the presence of mind to respect your teammates,
right,
to be there for your teammates, to know who you were and what your story was and your background, hometown kid, to go after that ball, to make sure you have it.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So cool. Yeah, he didn't know how many times I was in the backyard emulating Reggie Wayne, right? You know, running comeback routes and trying to be like, the late hands like him. So yeah, that's probably my top.
Is he aware of how special of a moment that is for you?
Yeah, I don't know if I've told him that I think I did, and in the moment, I said like, "Thanks for getting the ball," or said something like that, way back in 2014. But
here you are, 11 years later, still talking about it?
Yeah, it's like still my coolest NFL moment, right? I mean, that's it right there. Like the guy, so awesome. The guy that was your hero, gets, thinking of you to get the ball and make sure you get to keep it. So really cool.
Where's the ball now?
It's at my grandma's house. It's at my grandma's. I gave it to my grandma and grandpa.
I think we've talked about
this. Yeah, we talked about this once before, I think, and. So, yeah, Grandma's got the football. So, really cool.
Shout out to Reggie Wayne, man.
Yeah, my man.
Fantastic. All right, let's close out the podcast. We always do this. We always have some fun. If you're new to the podcast, first of all, we appreciate you joining us. We hope that you stick around and come back in weeks later. But we always close out with a little fun segment here called You Don't Know Jack, which means we get to know Jack Doyle a little bit better outside of him wearing the Colts helmet and the Colts pads. So here's the question for you this week, Jack Doyle, to get to know you a little bit better. What's the app on your phone or app on your iPad that you use the most?
I don't really try to use my phone as much as possible. So the lame answer is I use messages, I use email, I use phone.
But you're not 2016 Andrew Luck flip phone guy.
No, I have an iPhone. I have kids. I got to get photos of them and stuff like that.
Fair enough.
But no, the app I've been using. Okay, Matt. So probably I don't use this app the most, right? But this fun new app I've been playing, and my kids just got me on it.
Okay.
Is they found Retro Bowl on the apps.
Retro Bowl?
Retro Bowl. So the old school, you just use your finger and can just move the guy left and right to kind of juke. And
a football game.
It's NFL. Yeah. It's NFL Retro Bowl.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'll be they'll be playing it at whatever, maybe I'm doing something, I'm, giving them 30 minutes on my phone or what, try not to do too much of it, whatever.
Right.
And I'll be all right, you guys are done. You're done. And then I'll take it. And then I'm here, let me finish this season for you Let me finish this season for you real fast. No, you don't, you see the pressure here. You want to hit the tight end,
Check it down.
Yeah, giving them some, I'm just over their shoulder coaching them up. But they're better than me at the game.
Of course they are.
I can't. I don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm seeing, but I can't do it with my fingers. So yeah, Retro Bowl. That's
Retro Bowl.
Little throwback. Yeah, it's kind of like a Tecmo Bowl, but it's called Retro Bowl. So it's I guess that's the app I'm going to now. Now.
So the downloads of Retro Bowl are spiking as we speak right now.
I'll be looking for that stipend. Coming soon from Retro Bowl.
That's it, baby. Good job right there. Jack Doyle, not a phone guy. He's not a flip phone guy, but he is in the 21st century here. You can text him. All right.
I get iMessages.
Yeah.
I am an iPhone.
The little 3 dots show up when Jack Doyle responds to you. He has email too, by the way, so that's good. So we're making baby steps here with Jack Doyle. Fantastic job, man. Appreciate your time as always. That's Jack Doyle. I'm Matt Taylor. Thanks for listening and watching. Boy, oh boy, big game coming up on Sunday for the Colts. Phillip Rivers back at quarterback, and the Colts looking to break a 4-game losing skid and playing at home on Monday Night Football on the Monday night stage again for the first time since 2022. Week 17 next week as the Colts again return home to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Next week's going to be busy, obviously, with the holiday season here. So we'll be back talking Colts football, the latest and greatest with the team on the Colts Podcast channel. Again, for Jack, I'm Matt. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Go Colts.